Hello, basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. If the Warriors can trade for Jalen Tyson, it will be an elite deal, because Jalen Tyson of the Cleveland Cavaliers is a promising young player and could develop a lot alongside stars Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, and Jimmy Butler. After being eliminated in the second round of the playoffs last season, the Golden State Warriors entered the NBA offseason looking to upgrade their roster to chase a championship this season. Of course, the Warriors looked like a title contender after acquiring Jimmy Butler at the trade deadline last season, but after upsetting the Houston Rockets in the first round, an untimely injury to Stephen Curry ultimately led to them being eliminated by the Minnesota Timberwolves. Because of this, Golden State entered the offseason looking for ways to bolster their rotation around their star trio, but that has not been the case thus far as they continue to await a decision by restricted free agent Jonathan Kuminga. Despite this, it has been reported that the Warriors do have deals in place with multiple free agents that are expected to be finalized once Kuminga's situation is resolved. Warriors predicted to acquire Cavaliers' Jalen Tyson. While that may be the case, Golden State could also look at other ways to upgrade their roster this offseason, and Bleacher Report's Zach Buckley recently released a mock trade that has the Warriors landing a young two-way wing from the Cleveland Cavaliers. In the trade, the Warriors would send Tracy Jackson-Davis and a lottery-protected 2026 first-round pick to the Cavaliers in exchange for Jalen Tyson. This would be an interesting trade for Golden State to make, especially since they would be giving up one of the few centers on their roster, though it could work out for them if they do end up landing Al Horford in free agency. For Tyson, he was the 20th overall pick by the Cavaliers in the 2024 draft, though he did not see a ton of playing time last season as he averaged only 9.6 minutes per game over 47 contests. In those 47 games, the 22-year-old guard averaged 3.6 points, 2.0 rebounds, and 0.9 assists per game while shooting 43% from the field and 34.5% from three. Tyson is a solid scorer and defender who would be a major upgrade to the Warriors' backcourt depth, and he would also likely receive more minutes in Golden State this season than he would in Cleveland. Despite this, the Warriors may hold off on making this trade since they would have to move one of the few big men on their roster, and Cavaliers may also hold off as they could view Tyson as a key player for their future due to his age. Anders Dreyer, San Diego Star, continues solidifying MLS MVP credentials. Gary Payton too shouldn't be a guaranteed signing for the Warriors. While we can start planning for Payton's return and his potential spot in Steve Kerr's rotation next season, it's still worth asking the question on whether his spot on the roster should be such a fait accompli. It's a predictable move for Golden State to make, ensuring they retain an experienced, much-loved member of the locker room after losing another in Kevin Looney, who departed for the New Orleans Pelicans on a 2-year, $16 million deal at the start of free agency. That doesn't make it the right one though, particularly given Payton's on-court production is also rather predictable since returning to the Warriors following his brief and forgettable stint with the Portland Trail Blazers to start the 2022-23 season. After being reacquired in a multi-team trade that sent former number 2 overall pick James Wiseman to the Detroit Pistons, Payton has averaged 16.0, 15.5 and 15 minutes for Golden State over the last 3 seasons. That's not to say his production is bad. He remains arguably the team's best perimeter defender, even if injuries have slowed him down slightly. His ability to play with Stephen Curry also brings value, having built connection that allows him to make timely cuts to the rim where he finishes effectively, which combined with his capacity to roll to the rim as a 6 feet 2 inches guard has seen him dubbed the Little Big Man. But beyond that, Payton is also a very limited offensive player. Teams will simply never respect his three-point shooting, even if he had a period after the All-Star break where he was knocking them down at a high clip. For some teams it wouldn't be a huge issue, but with the likes of Kuminga and Draymond Green there can often be one too many non-spacing threats on the floor. Having started his career as a point guard, he's a more than capable ball handler in transition. Yet he's also not providing much in the way of playmaking, nor is he providing anything in the form of individual shot creation. For a team that's a step behind the top tier in the Western Conference, There's an argument to be made that the Warriors should be taking a risk with their final few roster spots. Rather than the likes of Peyton and Seth Curry, who will predictably average 12 to 15 minutes per game, sign someone who could have more impact and become a 20-minute-per-game player if things break right. Malcolm Brogdon springs to mind as someone who comes with significant injury risk, yet who won the NBA's 6th Man of the Year award just 2 years ago. Why is Peyton seemingly above him in terms of free agency priorities? This is not to say that Peyton should absolutely not be on the roster next season, but that the Warriors should still evaluate all possibilities once the Kuminga situation is finally settled. Draymond Green boldly states Warriors will win it all this year after workout with Jimmy Butler. Warriors forward Draymond Green remains extremely hopeful about the team's chances of winning the NBA championship heading into the 2025-26 season. The Golden State Warriors saw a crushing end to their postseason campaign, especially because of how potent the team's new core looked. With championship aspirations, the Warriors bought into their potential, and Draymond Green continues to reflect that belief. After a recent workout with his teammate Jimmy Butler, Green boldly claimed that Golden State would win it all next year. He stated, "We're about 6 weeks out. Right where I need to be, baby. And we're getting that B*******H this year." Green's offseason preparations seem to be coming along smoothly. The added benefit of working out with a teammate highlights their developing chemistry. However, as inspiring as the forward statement might be, there are some concerns associated with it. The Golden State Warriors will be heading into the upcoming campaign as one of the most uncertain teams in the league. Given their offseason trade saga involving contract negotiations with 22-year-old forward Jonathan Kuminga, the Dubs have yet to make any significant roster additions. While reports suggest that the Warriors have verbal agreements in place, there is no guarantee that such deals would hold up until pen is put to paper. In this regard, the Dubs have been linked to players such as Al Horford, DeAnthony Melton, and Gary Payton too. These signings will be crucial at this stage, just to bring some semblance of balance to the roster. As significant as these additions would be toward making Golden State a more competitive unit, there is enough room to argue that it may not be enough. Several concerns have been raised about the Warriors' core itself. Led by Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, and Jimmy Butler, the Dubs possess an experienced but aging core. Curry's individual brilliance is clear of any doubt, as he continues to be the key contributor to Golden State's success. Butler's performances in the playoffs have been phenomenal, but by the same token, his availability in the regular season over the last few campaigns has been limited. Meanwhile, Green delivered a defensive clinic last season, earning his 9th All-Defensive Team selection and even finishing 3rd in DPOY voting. But there have been doubts about his ability to defend big men like Nikola Jokic, with claims that the Dubs should remove him to improve their chances. It goes without saying that dismissing champions like Green and Curry is never a wise decision, but the current state of the roster doesn't inspire much confidence. The Western Conference has become a more competitive place, especially with the strong teams becoming stronger. In this regard, Golden State's lack of decisive action could be its undoing. With training camp coming up, the Warriors will hope to complete their transactions to prepare a competitive roster for the new season. Given how valuable this limited window of opportunity will be to develop internal chemistry, the Dubs will need to make the most of it. Painful truth: Jonathan Kuminga must accept in free agency. It might not be worth the gamble. As the Golden State Warriors and restricted free agent Jonathan Kuminga have sat at an impasse this offseason, the young forward has been hesitant to accept the organization's 2-year, $45 million offer for a number of reasons. Yet, according to Tim Bontemps on a recent episode of the Hoop Collective, Kuminga's sole recourse, which involves him taking the qualifying offer and entering unrestricted free agency next offseason, would make it almost impossible for him to recoup the funds he misses out on initially. Although there has been well-documented strife between Kuminga and the organization throughout this contractual saga, it could ultimately be in his best interest to take the short-term deal they have offered. Jonathan Kuminga's qualifying offer is not a good gamble for him to make. As a restricted free agent, the lone leverage Kuminga has preserved this offseason against Golden State is the threat that he could always play on his 1-year, $7.8 million qualifying offer next season, guaranteeing unrestricted free agency upon its expiration and forcing the organization to lose their most valuable trade asset for nothing. While, in some ways, this would be preferable for Kuminga, as he would be able to have complete control over his next destination, Bontemps points out why it could be the wrong move in the long run. Kuminga's qualifying offer is like $7.5 million. He's getting offered somewhere around the potential to make $45 million over 2 years, and for him to get the number back, he'd have to have a salary next year that starts somewhere around $40 million, which is almost in any scenario extraordinarily unlikely. Across the NBA this offseason, restricted free agents have been the victims of a relatively frozen market, leaving them essentially no option other than to return to their organization. In some of these players' cases, however, taking the qualifying offer is a gamble that could pay off later. Between his projected $20 million annual value and his qualifying offer, which sits at around $11 million, is something that can be made up with a larger contract down the line. For Kuminga, however, it has been made clear this offseason that he will likely not fetch his desired $30 million annual value at this point in his career, making it almost impossible for him to overcome the deficit in earnings he would take on this year by playing on the qualifying offer. To Kuminga, who has made only $24 million in his career to this point, this is no small matter. Therefore, while it puts the young forward in an unfortunate situation, he must accept the painful truth that his only option is to return to Golden State on a 2- or 3-year deal. Jonathan Kuminga faces $14 million gamble in Warriors talks. NBA Insider predicts he blinks first. Jonathan Kuminga and the Golden State Warriors have been in talks throughout the offseason to try and resolve his restricted free agency situation. The franchise offered him a 2-year $45 million extension, but Jonathan Kuminga refused the deal because it did not include a player option in the final year. His athleticism and game are highly rated around the league, which is why teams like the Phoenix Suns and Sacramento Kings even made trade offers for him. However, the Golden State Warriors refused packages from both these teams as it did not include a first-round pick. It was reported that the player might consider taking the qualifying offer, which will make him an unrestricted free agent next offseason, but that will need him to take a $14 million hit on his contract next season. Kuminga might eventually stay on the Warriors. The Warriors drafted Kuminga with the 7th overall pick in the 2021 draft, and he has since put in some impressive performances for them. Their owner Joe Lacob is said to be a fan of his game and wants him on the roster, which is why the Warriors refused offers for Kuminga. With Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green, the Warriors core does not have a lot of years left and needs someone to carry the franchise forward. But they are also reluctant to offer him a massive deal due to restrictions in the new collective bargaining agreement. The back-and-forth has been ongoing for months, and The Athletic's Marcus Thompson too stated it might end with Kuminga blinking first. He said, "I have to believe Kuminga blinks first. Because it sounds good to say he'll sign the qualifying offer, but actually taking $14 million less than the deal on the table seems harder to execute. I know Kuminga to be principled, but that's a lot of money to pass up on in the name of principle. I understand the reasons why he doesn't want to take the team-friendly deal. But if you're getting the short end of the stick either way, you may as well get the $14 million extra on the table." Warriors would not want to lose Kuminga for nothing. Reports have indicated that the Warriors' decision to keep Kuminga is only to use him as a trade asset in the coming months. His athleticism will certainly be a bonus in a trade package for a star player, and that is one of the reasons the player does not want to be back with the Warriors. As a 22-year-old, Kuminga already has championship experience and played important games in the playoffs. He is one of the few players the Warriors can rely on after their core group led by Curry part ways from the NBA. The Athletic added, Kuminga is their last significant piece to use to build around the core. Re-signing Kuminga keeps them in the game. That's why upping the dollar figure doesn't hurt them too much, even if they don't think Kuminga is worth that much. If 2 years for $50 million gets him to sign, that's better than losing him for nothing. The Warriors have delayed their offseason plans to make a decision on Kuminga. Players like Al Horford, Gary Payton II, and Anthony Melton are all waiting to sign with the Warriors once the Kuminga situation is resolved. The Warriors would likely have to offer a player option to keep Kuminga, but if they continue with their decision to not do that, he could bet on himself and take the qualifying offer.